most of us, most of the time, are stuck in narrative. There is, and we can probably feel like you are a person, like a discrete person, separate from everyone else and everything else, moving from the past, back there somewhere, to the future, over there somewhere, on this train. And actually that process of being this discrete, separate self is interacting with other separate things, like a separate Emma, for instance. So we bump into each other, and then either we kind of give a little bit or we take a bit. But I guess what I'm saying is that's how we operate most of the time, but it can be seen that all of that is the mind. All of it. That entire way of seeing the world is just, well, it's something we've inherited, actually. We've inherited it from decades, thousands of years, millennia of people believing that's the case. And I guess the message that I'm kind of communicating is that's not all we are. So it's not that complicated. It's like, okay, well, there's that. There is that. There's a way of seeing the world. Could call it a point of view. But we're more than that. We're much more than that. And when we're able to let go of that point of view so strongly, and then you could say, well, that point of view is self-centered. It's almost like entirely reflective around this imagined me, like there's me and everything else. But when we're able to let go of that point of view and experience what more we are, then we feel less separate. And in my life, when I felt less separate, I felt connected. I felt more love. I felt more alive, So just on a practical level, they're the kind of things that I want. I kind of want to feel a bit more alive, a bit more, available to love and connection. And when I'm less really bound up in a tight me, and I'm more kind of open to the experience of now without trying to protect myself, then that seems to be a bit more available, So that's kind of a simplish way of talking about it. But it's tricky, isn't it? Because when we try to imagine what that is or contextualize what I've just said, we can only do it through, at certain points, we can only do it through the self. We can only do it through my point of view. So actually, it's kind of understandable, but there's a limit to which we can understand it. And this is why I said it's experiential. Because if we are interested in this, we can explore it, and we can explore it in experience. And then at some point, it becomes known and felt that me that I thought I was is definitely not the truth of what this is. And if you notice, I didn't say the truth of what I am, because I think even that I aming is almost like the seed, the kernel from which the self grows. It's like, oh, I'm this and you're that, or this is me and that's mine, and you can see with that, there's like a grabbing, a grasping onto the things of life. And they can be personalities, jobs, you could say internet fame, podcasts, microphones, whatever it is. If we say, oh, that's mine, that's me, then we try to grab it, don't we? But I have not yet come across a single thing in my life that doesn't go. Everything comes and goes. Everything. That's these words, these ideas, these objects, the phenomena of life, the play of life, it comes and it goes. And that's naturally how it is. But when we're trying to hold on to it, when it goes, it hurts. It's like, no, I was relying on that. That job that I really needed. I mean, a great example would be the fires in LA recently. And what a tragic and really heart-moving loss for so many people. And yet that's how things go. That is how things go. Like, that's not to say that I don't have a heart full of compassion for all the people that have lost things, but that's exactly how it goes. We don't know what will happen a moment from now, let alone 10 years from now. We cannot rely upon these things like a house to keep us safe. We just don't know what's going to happen.
I have a question around that, though.
Of course.
Because I'm trying to think as well from like anyone listening's point of view. And for example, you mentioned the LA fires,
That's an
or
example, yeah.
someone could be going through grief right now. They've lost a loved
sure.
one,
Yeah,
or
yeah.
someone who is experiencing deep pain and grief, and everything they've known, everything they've clung to for safety has gone.
Yeah,
They're experiencing heartbreak, grief.
totally.
How do you think it matches up feeling these overwhelming, all-encompassing, engulfing emotions that when you're in the depths of them, you don't feel like you know how to get out of that. You just have to feel it, or time will heal, or whatever that situation is. How do you hold that and that's okay, that's how things go? How do you hold both
What a
at the
beautiful
same
question.
time?
And I guess you've just asked the central question of the spiritual life. How do you do it? It's hard, isn't it? Like it's not straightforward. And I think the heart, in my experience, I say the heart. When I say the heart, what I'm referring to is that deep intuitive emotional capacity that we've got to feel and connect with each other. And that open heart, the more we're able to open this faculty, the more we're able to let it lead us and to guide us. So actually, yeah, we can grieve. We can grieve deeply for things that we've lost. And that doesn't necessarily mean that we have to suffer. We don't have to suffer any more than the grief that's apparent. So when we lose, death's a great example. We've gone straight into death, haven't we? All right, let's go. No, but part of being a human being is that we're all going to die, and everyone's going to die. That's just the nature of it. That's the truth, isn't it? And we can see that truth again and again. But when we deny that truth, then actually we try to build a life of security against that. And again, I don't know anybody who's been successful at doing that. Everybody's gone. Everybody has come and it's gone. And that's the way it is. And that's okay. It doesn't mean that we don't grieve for the loss of loved ones, but there's a different type of grief that's available to us, which isn't so self-centered and psychological. It's much more emotional and energetic. I've been lucky enough to feel that recently with the passing of a loved one. And yeah, it was profound. It was deeply, deeply, deeply moving. Like it felt like, this might sound a little bit hippie-ish, but it felt like all the love in the universe was showing up for the passing of my loved one. Through this, it was just like, oh my God, the heart was shattered into a million pieces.
And it felt like love.
Totally. It felt, there was undeniable amount of love, but it hurt. And that's the tricky thing, isn't it? If we're trying to avoid pain, then we can never open up to the love of acceptance. So yeah, I had this experience recently, and we all have this experience of grief. But when we're trying to deny the loss, then we suffer. And I know so many people, and I've been in this situation myself with the passing of my mother about 9 years ago. I wasn't able to open my heart to that degree. And psychologically, I tried to manage it. Through whatever coping mechanisms this person, this self, you could say, had. Like, okay, well, I'm me, and how do I deal with this? It was all like plans and strategies, and a little bit of grief would pop up, but they'd be like, oh no, I'll push that back down. And there wasn't an open, free flowing of that. And it was tough. It took years and years and years. And I said, to some degree, it's still ongoing, of the truth of the emotion of that to show itself. Whereas recently, with the passing of my dear friend, there was none of that. There was no holding back. There were no gates. There were no barriers. It was just like the entire body was like, woof, like thrown into this world of, well, I would say grief, but not grief as a negative. It felt like, even though it was so painful and so loving and so intense, I could tell very clearly there wasn't a single negative aspect to the experience. It was entirely positive.
Wow.
And hard. So I'm not sure. I mean, it's tricky to talk like that, because that's not necessarily the way we experience life, is it? But we can.